Hi everyone, it's Elaine Hamilton from the Reiki Center, and welcome to the August Reiki Reiju. So before the recording, we were just chatting a little bit about a topic for today, and one of the questions was, and I think this is a really great question and a very common one, is that as you go through your Reiki training, you get very enthused, right? So you're going up through the levels, or maybe you're just doing Reiki 1, but then you have Reiki in your hands and you're doing your self-treatment, and it's like, oh, this is amazing. And you're seeing benefits. You're seeing a reduction in your stress. You're seeing a reduction in your pain, in your aches, and your maybe results with illness, and you're starting to come more into your sense of control and your sense of self and your sense of peace and your sense of contentment and all the good things. And then life starts to kind of ramp up again. And then we get into the life, I'm not going to say life flow because it's not life flow, but it's like the life's activities and the pushing and the pulling and the needs and the, oh, I need to do this next and that next. And then it's like we pop higher and higher up into the head, and then the head is running the show. And it can happen from the minute we wake up. So we wake up and immediately we're engaged in what I have to do next, what I have to do. I need to get out of bed. I need to do this. I need to, and then the whole day starts to be taken over by thought. So how to describe what to do in this situation or how to start living? So here's the goal. Okay. So, and again, this is just for you to think about, but the goal is to integrate your awareness so that peace and contentment and feeling of, what is it, a feeling of, like a lot of the interviews with the Reiki masters that I've been doing, they've been saying this is like that trust and that home, the feeling of homecoming. So when you do your Reiki treatments, and I think this is why we get so enthused when we first start our Reiki journey, is there is this feeling of rightness. There's this feeling of, this is home. This is base point. When I do my Reiki, I feel at peace and at one with, I'm not going to say the universe, with God, with whatever, but there's a sense of oneness or a sense of wholeness or completeness or contentment. I don't know. You put your own word in there, whatever it feels like to you. And the aim is to feel that all the time. And this might come as a shock to those of you who it just feels so distant that, well, no, when I'm in the world, I'm in the world. And when I'm in my Reiki practice, I'm at home. So it's almost like there's this feeling of you leave yourself to go out to work, for example, right? Then you come home, and then at weekends, then I can relax and be at home. And this outward journeying that happens is actually only happening in our minds, in our thoughts. Like, it's not possible to leave our body. It's not physically possible to do that. You are in a physical body and you navigate the world in a physical body. So you never leave home. You never leave home. Giving yourself permission to remember that or remain connected or connecting in with that, that is another story. And there's something very sneaky about the way the mind works. I'll let you into a secret. The mind doesn't want you to get this connection. And the reason why it doesn't want you to get this connection is because then the thoughts lose power. And it sounds really horrible when I say it like that, but that's just the truth. When you stay connected 24/7, so even in your dreams, like you get to the point that even in your dreams, you're like, oh, that's just thoughts. Like you start to lucid dream because you're just like, oh, here's an interesting dream. Oh, there's another interesting dream. But there's a sense of wholeness, or there's a sense of awareness that is just constantly online. And it's always been online. It hasn't gone anywhere. Like it's not possible. It's just not possible to leave your body. And if you think of your body as home, and deep internally as that connection. So often we talk about when we do our meditations, when we do our Reiki, we go deep into the belly, into the base chakra, into that well. And often you'll feel that deep well of silence, or the deep stillness that resides in the body. So the deeper we go into the body, the more stillness is available. Now, then the mind's like, no, no, okay, we finished that, finish your meditation, finish your Reiki, off we pop, we've got things to do. And boop, up we come here. And when we come up here, the breath comes up too. So we were talking about this earlier, how, you'll notice you open your eyes in the morning, and already as you start getting ready for work or wherever you're going, you start eating your breakfast, and then the breath starts to come higher and higher and higher, and then you navigate the whole day up here. So everything is like from the mind to the chest. There's not much going on deep into the belly, so we lose awareness of that. But the only thing that's losing awareness of that is the thinking. And so it's like, where's your attention? And this is a really, really simple thing to start building into your day regularly. And you could even start off with setting a little like hour alarm. Super simple, just a little hour alarm. It go bing. And then in that moment, you do 3 breaths. That's it. You just do 3 breaths and you scan the body. Where is my focus? Where is my attention? Where is my breath? Is it in the belly? And you just take 3 moments and you look around the room and you establish yourself in the room and you establish your breath. You follow your breath. You establish yourself in your body. Where is my sense of stillness? And you just do this like every hour on the hour for 12 hours. You do it 12 times a day. And you start to notice every single time, I promise you, every single time you do this, you'll be like, oh, yeah, there it is. There's the stillness. There's the stillness. It hasn't gone anywhere. It never leaves. It's not possible for you to leave yourself. Right? It's just not possible. Now, so why do we keep thinking this happens? Is because the thoughts want to be lived. It's as simple as that. Like, thoughts are just like anything else. They want to be validated. They want to be lived. They want to be agreed with. They want to be believed. That's it. So your thoughts are like living organisms. And they're not your thoughts, by the way. They're just thoughts. Like, everybody has the same thoughts. There's a pool of thoughts. We all collect them. You have never had an original thought in your life. If you ask anybody else, have they had this thought too? The answer will be yes. Even the darkest ones you've had. Right? It doesn't matter what the thought is. There's no such thing as an original thought, which is different from an original idea. Okay. I'm not talking about ideas. I'm just talking about thoughts. So thoughts are universal. You just imagine them. They're just floating around like the internet. Like the internet right now is just like buzzing around our bodies. It's like in and out. And when we have the right Wi-Fi, we have the right connection, then boom, we can connect in with it. So we have all of these thoughts that are just swimming around, and then we pick. And when we pick one, it wants to be believed, right? It wants to live. It wants to live. So it's like, oh, believe me, believe me. And then the more you believe it, the more it becomes a real thing. And then the more it feels lived, and it becomes a lived experience in you. And then it becomes, so like the most common ones would be something like, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough. Like, these are just thoughts. I'm not doing enough. What does that even mean? According to whom? Like, what the hell is that? I'm not doing enough. On whose judgment? So when you actually look at each individual thought you're having, it's complete nonsense. There's no substance to it. But when you think, I'm not doing enough, and then you feel that, oh my God, I need to do this, and I need to do that, and this person's doing that, and this person's doing this, and on social media, she's doing that, and he's doing this, and I've been told this, and you build a massive story around it. Now that little thought, I'm not doing enough, then becomes this massive, validated, real, and dense thing up here, or wherever you feel it. Maybe it's in your chest, maybe it's in your solar plexus, who knows, where you're adding energy to it, but you have to add energy to it. So as you start pulling your attention away from your core, your own inner home, your foundation, and you get pulled off into here and there and everywhere else, then you lose attention. You don't lose connection. We never lose connection. And this is really important because and very so easy to prove. Just look inside whenever you think, oh, I've lost connection with myself. Just check it out. Have I? Take 3 breaths into your base chakra, down into the belly. Am I still here? Am I still steady? Like, what's going on? Oh, there I am. Pop, back up you go again. But this is really important because it's a long-winded way of saying when you start to feel that you've lost that connection, like I don't know how to get back into connection with my Reiki practice, or I don't know how to get back into connection with a deeper spiritual practice, maybe that's just the wrong question. Like maybe the question is, am I just always here? Like, am I always here? Is that deep sense of connection, not even connection, that's the wrong word, is that deep sense of self always here? And so is the question more accurately put, where is my attention? Where is my attention? Is it up in my thoughts, believing all the stories, all the rhetoric, all the busyness? Or is it deeply in my body? And this is why we talk about mindfulness all the time, because mindfulness is what is the attention. So when we're mindful of our breathing, when we're mindful of our body, of our senses, of what we're hearing, what we're seeing, that brings us into the present moment. And in the present moment, that's where we live. Duh. It's really funny. When you start to break all this down, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's so logical. But the mind and the thoughts, right? All that stuff is so, it has its own energy. And so it's really important to respect that as well. Thoughts are very, very powerful. And it's not that they're schemy, they're just sticky, right? They want to live. They want to be believed. They want to have energy put on them, just like everything else. Just like every single person on the planet wants validation, wants to know they exist, wants to know they matter. Thoughts are the same. They're simply energy fields. We're just energy. Everything else is just energy, right? And everything has a desire to live, to be manifest. So universal life force is simply energy wanting to manifest, and it will manifest however it gets attention. The universe is just like a really needy baby. Oh God. So once you kind of know that, and you're like, oh, okay, then the question is, where am I putting my attention? And you can put your attention in different places at the same time. So right now, as I'm talking to you, there's obviously words coming out of my mouth, and I'm kind of forming patterns, kind of thinking about the general. I try and stay on topic, I go off all over the place, but in general, I'm trying to stay on a certain topic and I'm trying to make a certain point. So there's that going on. But there's also a very deep sense of connection right down in my base chakra. I can feel all my chakras as well at the moment. And I can feel like my feet are tingling. I can feel the temperature of the air. I can look around. I know exactly where I am in the room. So there's a lot of, all my senses are engaged. So at any moment, if you were asking me like, oh, so can you feel your sense of being? It's yes, I can. And I always can. Even when I'm sleeping, I can. So there's that connection of where is your ultimate connection? And when you have that ultimate connection, you will also start to see that thoughts are really not that, they don't have that much power. So when other people are kicking off, or you get the thought, oh, I'm not doing enough, there's a lightness to it. right? There's a real difference in the way it comes up because it's not believed. It's like, oh, so when a thought comes up, oh, I'm not doing enough. It's like, okay, is that even true? Like, do I have to pay that any attention right now? How, what am I, what is that? Rather than, oh, I'm not doing enough. Oh my God, how do I do more? So there's that assumption of you automatically believe thoughts, which is what gets you completely stuck in them and then off, right? Then the thoughts are in control because you've automatically believed them without even challenging them. And then there's the other way of when you get more and more connected with that sense of beingness where everything is ultimately absolutely fine. Then when the thoughts come up, no matter how difficult those thoughts are, there's space around them. There's a lightness to it because it's like, well, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, which is also why we do things like Leaves on a Stream, which was a meditation we did a couple of months ago, why we do mindfulness, why we do all of this stuff is to show you that thoughts exist separate from self. They're separate. They're not. So just because a thought comes up to your mind doesn't mean it's true. And it doesn't mean you have to automatically believe it and go rushing off fixing it. That's the disconnect we're trying to make. And that's the disconnect you get from your Reiki practice, which is why it feels so nice. That's the disconnect you get from meditations, from mindfulness, from all this stuff. That's the purpose of all this stuff, is to show you you are not your thinking. You are not your thoughts. The thoughts aren't even yours anyway. So just let that go. There's no such thing as your thought. There's no thought you've had that someone else hasn't also had. It's all just in the glue. It's all in the gloop. And then we just take them and then we just randomly believe them. So a lot of this process that we go through is an undoing process. It's an unlearning process, as Byron Katie says. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to see, get that awareness. And it is like this a moment where you're just like, oh my God, I am not my thoughts. Jeez. And that moment can be very profound, but it stays. Like it's like as soon as you hit that awareness, that's what they call the awakening, right? The awakening is simply, oh my God, I'm not my thoughts. It's as simple as that, right? It's like, shit. So all this thing about enlightenment and bliss and all this, I mean, whatever, I don't know what they're experiencing, but that's just not what we're talking about in spiritual awakening. It's like you wake out of the delusion that you are your thoughts. You wake out of that. And then you wake into the truth, which has always been there, that you are simply this being, this breath, this alertness, that sense, the presence that you get when you're doing your Reiki practice. So having said all of that as a background, we then go into a healing meditation. There's nothing that we're going to do in this healing meditation that's any different from any other healing meditation we've done, but just see for yourself what I'm saying, okay? So as we go into the practice, do you get what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you just sink down. So we'll just do a practice. So hands in Garsho. You just do this because we're short on time. So it won't be too long, but I just want you to see as you drop your attention. So bringing your attention into the fingers and into the breath. And so there's a traveling down that happens in attention. Okay, in attention. So your attention might be up in the head thinking all these thoughts. And then as you start to bring your attention to the fingers, it's almost like your attention, it might even feel like it's dropping down. So just see how it feels for you. But there's like this feeling that the attention is now moving in a downward motion down to the fingers. And as I say, into the breath, you're kind of breathing. And again, you can follow it with your attention through the nostrils down into the lungs, into the belly, and back out again. And you're relaxing your shoulders as you do this. And then we're going to call in the Reiki attunement, simply asking Reiki to flow in through the breath. Let's play with the breath attunement, just breathing in, inviting the Reiki attunement. And you might notice this simple intention starts to activate the hands. There might be more tingling, more heat. Such a simple thing, right? Just incredible. The Reiki is flowing through you. And you might notice that simple movement of intention and attention brings a stability in the mind. It stops chattering so much. Maybe, maybe not. Then just bringing your hands anywhere down on your body. So it might be on your belly, might be on your chest, might be on your thighs, doesn't matter. And very gently just starting to breathe into the belly. And every exhale, you are intending the body to relax. So there's some intention, there's some attention. It's a mixture. And as you bring your attention deep into the belly, just noticing the stillness. It's always here, like it doesn't go anywhere. And it might just be a glimpse, like if you are a person with a very busy mind, might just be a little glimpse when you bring your attention. So you might even notice that it pops up and down, right? You might start to notice the movement of attention goes down into the belly. And then there's all these thoughts that are, it's almost like a pulling. Come back up here. Come up, come up. It's more important up here. And it is like an up and down feeling, maybe, or an in and out feeling. So explore that, get curious. Where is this pulling and pushing? Like, what is the movement? There is a movement. How does it feel for you? And maybe, like myself, you can direct it in both. So you can be up in the head. I'm talking to you right now. My head is active. My thoughts are active. And there is a deep sense of peace behind that. So for me, sometimes it feels like a deep well of stillness in my belly. But right now, as I'm talking to you, it feels like in the background. It's behind me, around me. So there's a talking that comes through the stillness. Like it's coming out of the stillness, but it is not a stillness. It is simply an expression or a movement of energy that comes out and done. But behind that is all the stillness. Doesn't go anywhere. It's like in between the thoughts or in between the breath, there it is. And it's so obvious, you'll probably discount it. It's so obvious because it's always been there. You'll be like, that can't be it. Yes, it can. That thing that is so obvious, not even a thing, that sense, that presence, that awareness that is so commonplace that you don't even pay it attention. That's what I'm talking about. And as you breathe, you enjoy the Reiki. It's just simply present. And you bring that presence and you bring your attention to the presence more and more, then you will see it's always there. And the reason that's important is because then when you feel like you're losing yourself, you simply remind yourself you can't. You can never lose yourself. It's just not a possibility. So then throughout your day, no matter how busy you are, you're always there. Busyness is simply busyness. What's it got to do with you? Nothing. It's got nothing to do with you. Just what's happening in that moment. Doesn't have to break your peace. You don't have to need to wait for it to finish to relax. You can be perfectly relaxed even in the busiest day. Like, what's anxiety and tension got to do with activity? Nothing. It's not connected. None of this is connected. We think it is. But activity is activity. Anxiety is anxiety. Doesn't have to, you don't have to connect up the dots. Thought is thought. Peace is peace. All of it can co-live and co-occur. And it's all testable. I say this over and over again. You don't believe me. Please don't believe me. Test it out for yourself. This is all testable stuff. So this very simple exercise, do this regularly. Regularly. Set your alarm. Give yourself, if it's not every hour, fair enough, right? But in the morning when you wake up, before you get out of bed, sit on the edge of your bed. Can I feel myself? Can I feel my presence? Then when you're sitting on the transport to work, when you are in between meetings, when you're sitting on the toilet, that's my favorite thing, especially when you get to menopause and you're on the toilet 10 times a day. So many opportunities for meditation. Yeah, find those moments. Find those moments where you're checking in, checking in, checking in. And then it will just start to blend, because then you'll just start checking in the middle of a really fraught meeting. You'll be checking in when your tantruming teenager is screaming at you. You'll just be checking in so regularly, and then you just stop because you won't have to anymore. That's the thing, right? Ultimately, you get to the place where you just feel yourself 24/7. And then everything else is just activity, things to do, no big deal. It's nothing to get stressed about. Hope that was helpful.